Thanks for having me, Terry, and all of the guests in the meeting today. Very much appreciate being here. Um, I do have to take issue with something Rob said. They don't do three things well. They do like 300 things really well. Like so much so that I'm not going to be in a Salesforce admin without Apsona. Like it's a must do in my contract when you hire me from now on. Like that's it. So I've been using Apsona all my time as an admin, about 5 years now. And I work in a nonprofit, as Rob said, in Charlotte, and we take in lots of donations. We have lots of very generous people in the area and throughout the country who send us donations. And we use Apsona in part. Our super user in the donor space uses Apsona to thank the donors for all their gifts. So what I'm going to show you today is in my sandbox, which I hope you can see on your screen. I have an Apsona tab. Thanks, Rob. Apsona lives on a tab right like every other object that you have. And when you click on the Apsona tab, you're in a browser-based environment. So things load pretty quickly. And you can navigate Apsona through their subtabs. The first thing I'm going to show you is the reporting tool called multi-step reports. So I use multi-step reports in Apsona all the time, so much so that I kind of forget how to use Salesforce reports. Salesforce reports are limited and I find them cumbersome. So I'm always defaulting to Apsona multi-step reports or even single-step reports in some cases, because first of all, you don't have to make a report type. All the objects that I have access to are in Apsona and waiting for me to build a report on them. I don't need to make funny report types with and without. I don't need to bring in these objects and not those objects. The other thing that you're going to see is I don't have a 4-object limit either. I can get crazy with the links I make. I can report on an opportunity and go to the account and find out who made the account and then pull up their contact record and find out who they're married to. Like you would never need to know this stuff, but Apsona can do it. It's pretty cool. So the multi-step report process starts with your use case. I want to find all of the people who donated, who have an email address, so I can say thank you. So what I do is build a report. We acknowledge payments on an opportunity. So I'm going to pull in my payments. I start with my first step, which is pulling in information about my payment. And that's what I tell Apsona here is that I'm looking at for payments and I'm going to pull the information from the database object called payments. Then I can tell it what fields from my payment do I want to see. These are all the columns in my report. Look right here, you'll notice these are all things that are directly related to my payment. If I were to open up a payment record, you would see a link to a donation. You would see the actual payment itself. You would see a link to the user that it was created by and the user who last modified it. Right here in this first step, we're already beyond the capabilities of Salesforce reporting. We've gone over four objects here. So we've already surpassed the ability of Salesforce. But that's not the end of it. We can then link out to even more objects. So these are all the fields on my payment, and I just select the ones that I want to use in my report. I can filter those payments that I'm pulling into this report. So my payments, I have a flow that assigns an acknowledgement process and a status, and it lets me pick in just those payments that have not been acknowledged. They're tagged as to be acknowledged. And the payment acknowledgement process is via email as opposed to snail mail. So I can limit this right here. There's pretty sophisticated filter logic as well, trying to do your ands and your ors and your Boolean logic. And then Apsona will let you range and sort. So this morning I ran a purge process and I wanted to see which records were up for purging. Now, if I returned all 15,000 records, that might be a little bit hard for me to spot check and deal with. So I set it to give me just the first 500. Go to the oldest of the 500 and grab just the first 500. So now I can control in groups how many I take out. When I deal with the first set, I can come back and deal with the next set. I'm going to get to that links tab in one moment. Now, in addition to the payments, I can retrieve some information about the donation right here. Or I can, on the payment, there is a parent donation. Is it called donation? Salesforce sometimes calls it donation and sometimes calls it opportunity. But if I wanted to go to the payment and pull out the opportunity ID, it's already here in my columns. Now I can add another step. This is where multi-step comes in. I can look for the opportunity. I can retrieve all this information about the opportunity. I mean, come on. So once I get to the opportunity, I can pull in information about the account or the matching gift account or the partner account. A partner account is somebody that we do business with. It's a local custom link. If I want to pull in information about the campaign, the person being honored by the gift, the person being notified of the honoree, I can pull in all of these linked objects just right here. Did somebody have a question? Okay. So I'm already filtering the payments that come in. So I don't want to filter my donations. I don't want to filter that parent. I want that parent information as well. I don't need to range and sort because I'm sorting my payments just to pull in those few that are there waiting for me. Now here's where we link this donation ID back to the donation ID on the payment. So it's kind of like using your $ records in Flow. Go back to that record that started the whole thing. And here's how we link them. Apsona allows you to do whatever naming you want. It allows you to create a folder structure. This is my sandbox, so it's got a tiny little structure, but in production, we have quite a few folders. And then we can put small descriptions on them to help us understand what all of these issues, why we created this report. From here, you can save your report or you can save and run. When you run, it runs right here in your browser, and it's found one payment record where the gift was made by somebody with an email address. So here are all the columns that I've asked for back on this step. I want to bring out all these retrieve fields. Another thing we can do is change the name of them. So I can change the name of the column and just call it email right here. And then when I run it on my report, my column just says email. So you can rename things. You can remove columns. Like if I'm going to send this into Excel and send it to somebody who doesn't need to see the record IDs, maybe I remove that column. No good admin would ever do that, but anyway. Maybe they don't need to know the payment method. They don't care how it was paid for, but the donation came through and you can remove columns right here with just a check. And you'll see we have all of the payment fields are over here that I chose. And then the next step is our opportunity. All those fields are over here. Then you have the option in any multi-step report to export it to CSV or to Excel. And when you export it to Excel, you get magic links. My team is always asking me for magic links. That's what they call them. And it just means that the record is right there. There's an HTTP link right there for the record. And when you click on it, it will automatically open that record. So it's very helpful. And of course, Winter 24 is going to glitch on me. Take a minute in my sandbox. So I can open up that payment right here very quickly. Multi-step reports took me a little while to learn because I had to understand the links between objects. Where do I start? What can I link to? What can't I link to? I haven't found anything I can't link to yet. I found things I had to do a couple extra steps to get to what I needed, but it was right there. And then once you know how to do multi-step reporting, it's easy then to look at the Apsona tools to do mail merges, to send all your acknowledgement letters, your bills, your invoices, all of that type of thing can be done right here from the multi-step report.